Recess council from I think February 28th, 2022 will come to order. Let's please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the first item on the agenda will be the consent agenda, the water and sewer termination request. Do we have any? We do not have any. All right, so the next item would be the January 2022 minutes approval. It's agenda item AIR 22-028. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to accept the January 2022 minutes, agenda item AIR 22-028.
I'll second.
Ms. Hanson has made a motion to accept the minutes for the agenda item report AIR 22-028. Ms. Coates has seconded it. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion carries.
Cut that off. It's all. Stay in that speaker.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, right there.
Very good.
Yeah, we'll just have to talk louder tonight.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay out there? All right. The next item on the agenda will be petitions and delegations. Members of the public are welcome to use this time to comment about any matter relating to city business not listed on this agenda. The comments that are discussed under petitions and delegations may or may not be acted upon by the council during this meeting. There is a 3-minute time limit. Please stand and wait to be recognized by the mayor. You must state your name and address. Who would you like to start with?
Whoever.
Mr. John, would you like to start?
If I may. yes.
Sure, go right ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. John Hobby Walks with Kirk and Michael. Just have a statement that I really want to make tonight, Mayor and City Council. I saw on your agenda tonight is an agreement for consideration by one of our competitors. Not here to speak any ill or otherwise about that firm. But what I am wanting to express is maybe disappointment and concern that at least some of the work our firm is capable of doing, and we were never consulted or given the opportunity to submit any qualifications or proposal on that work. I just wanted to share that with you all and ask that we do be given consideration.
Thank you. Any comments regarding his statement? No one? All right, is there anyone else who would like to make a comment, public comment? No other public comments at this time? All right, the next item on the agenda is unfinished business. It's the return of grant funds, agenda item report AIR 22-026.
All right, Mr. Mayor, Council, we tried to purchase cemetery software for $27,000. The council agreed to put up $9,000 if we would get the other $18,000 in grant. We only got $1,000 in grant, so since we did not get the remaining funds, we abandoned the project, and Western Electric would like their $1,000 back. So they can repurpose it to someone else who can actually use it.
Was that thing that was gonna be the kiosk deal where you could search grave and stuff?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to return the $1,000 grant money to Western Electric.
I'll second.
Mr. Scritchfield makes a motion to return the money from the grant. Ms. Coates seconds it. Is there any further discussion on the matter? Any questions? Concerns? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll go ahead and return the grant funds. Next item on the agenda is the 2022 chamber request.
Oh, you skipped one.
You did?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Mr.
Request for permissions.
Okay, you're right. 2 grants. I'm sorry. So the next item is agenda item report AIR-22-027. It's the request for permission to submit a grant.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Council, this is a request to submit a grant for recreation equipment to the Smoky Hill Charitable Foundation. It's pretty straightforward.
What recreation equipment?
Ronnie?
It would be for new tables and chairs for the meeting room out the rec center and an AED machine for the facility as well.
We have an estimate on how
It'd
much.
be about $4,000.
For everything, really?
Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the request for grant submission AR-22.
I'll second.
Mr. Renard makes a motion to approve the grant funding AIR-22-027. Ms. Hanson seconds that motion. Any further discussion, any questions, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now will be the next one, to be the 2022 chamber request. That's agenda item report AIR-22-024.
All right, Mr. Mayor, Council, this is the annual disbursement request for the chamber. Once again, very straightforward. I think this is the third. I think we did the Arts Council and we did the Council on Aging already, so. We budget $15,400 every year for chamber.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to grant the disbursement request as presented. Do you need the number for to the chamber?
I'll second that.
Ms. Hanson makes a motion to approve the chamber request. Mr. Renard seconds that motion. Is there any further discussion?
Is it out of line to ask them what they do with this money? I'd love like a report on what they did the last year. I feel like that's a lot more than we give other people, right?
Other than economic development.
Yeah.
Yeah, so economic development is 32.5, this is 15.4, and then aging is 11, and everything else is pretty low.
I know Stacy puts out an annual report because that's one of her members got that, but like the Center on Aging and this, like it's a decent amount, like maybe they could give us a rundown of what that money goes to next year. Why
Yes.
it's important that they get that.
Any other questions, concerns, discussion?
The only thing that I'll point out is this does not include the $6,000 we typically give the chamber for celebrations. So if we get that request, that'll be later in the year.
Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The chamber request has been approved. That's AIR-22-024. Moving on to the chip seal rock bids. That's agenda item report AIR-22-023.
All right, Mr. Mayor, Council, I'll let Mr. Bettenbrock walk you through that.
Chip seal rock went up considerably this year, as you can see. Mid States was way cheaper last year delivered. But they're $46 46.80 for a ton this year delivered. And we can get it through Lincoln for 35.40 plus 850 from White's delivery, so it'll be cheaper to get through White's, and I believe their rock is a little harder and better, so I suggest we get it through Lincoln and have White's all over.
We got room, got someplace to put it now,
Yeah, we do.
and I suggest if they approve this, get them home,
Yeah.
if they do run out.
And they're, as I put in there, the surcharge could go up 5, 10, 15 cents before we haul it, so, that could change the price some. Yeah, I think we should get it hauled as soon as possible.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve APAC bid, chip seal rock and white construction bid for home rock from Lincoln not to exceed 19,000.
I'll second that. Mr. Renard makes a motion to approve the chip seal rock bid, not to go over 19,000. Mr. Johnson seconds that motion. Any further discussion? Any questions? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. For the agenda item report of the chip seal rock bid, AAR-22-023. Moving on to the final item in new business would be the engineering report and GIS update agreement. That is AAR-22-025.
All right, Mr. Mayor, Council, I'm going to have Brian Foster from BG Consultant talk to you about what's contained in the proposal. So before he gets going, the mayor, Mr. Scritchfield, myself, and Mr. Chapmanchek sat down to go over the parameters of an RFP with Mr. Foster. And I think Mr. Scritchfield can probably explain better the breadth, width of the scope, which led us to the recommendation that we, instead of sending out for a larger audience, because of the varying opinions we may get, to request a direct hire on this. And instead of trying to be shady and split the purchases to keep it under my spending authority, I thought it much more appropriate to present it as a whole. And so I'll let Brian tell you what's in the proposal, and then we'll answer any questions.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. What we presented was basically 3 different tasks. The first task being the GIS map update, and basically taking a lot of the existing data and updating that into more of an online platform that can be used by city staff with iPads, phones, whatever. And then also integrating, I know you guys are doing a metering project, and that should give a lot of information that we can just push into the GIS platform and populate and show all your meters throughout town, sizes, installation, things like that. So that's kind of the first task. And that's doing all water and sewer. And that's really integral to the kind of some of the other tasks I've been talking about. So once we kind of have that populated, updated, based off of whatever city staff knows in their head, we're going to take that information and develop a preliminary engineering for both water and sewer. Kind of the general consensus is we need to focus on water distribution. So we're not going to really get into the weeds of water supply and water treatment. We're mainly going to look at your distribution system. Pretty much like all towns, I'm assuming your infrastructure plus old needs to be replaced. So what we're going to do is prepare a report that more or less says that after we're going to have to go through all the evaluation. It's more than likely going to say that. And more than likely, you're not going to be able to afford to replace everything that you need to. So we're going to put together a phasing aspect of that report. And then that report can be used for some of the various different funding agencies that you guys are eligible for. One of those would be the KDHESR, one will be a CDBG grant. We need to work with some grant writers to make sure that we're eligible for that. Then another one is USDA. And this report is basically, you need this report to be able to go and apply for these funds. So that's what we're gonna do on the water side. We're gonna focus on that this year. And then, normally you can only apply for one project at a time. And on the sewer side, we're gonna basically look at collection and the wastewater treatment plant. Looks like there could be some efficiencies at the wastewater treatment plant, some different options. And, a lot of the stuff on the front end of the water report can be used on the back end, population, water data, how much you use, things like that, can be used with the sewer report. So all three of these tasks are somewhat integrated. And so that's why we presented it as one big project, I guess. So.
Yeah, and just, it's important to note that this is for the report and RFP only. And once that's constructed, then that will go out to the various engineer firms to bid on design and construction. But this is only for the initial phase, which is the report. So like you said, when I had the water rate guy, initially I told him to give us an estimate on what kind of rate increase we would need to replace our entire system, which is probably about $25 million. He said that that would be shocking. So in lieu of doing that, we looked at a $2 million for water and $2 million for sewer over 10 years, which would bring a recommended rate increase much smaller, plus the cash we have on hand. And then time is somewhat of the essence because the Kansas Interagency Committee, which is who would review the projects, meets in June or July.
They meet throughout June, July, but you're really to be safe. It's nice to have everything ready in July in case you don't get a meeting, because it is a first come, first served basis. And everybody waits and procrastinates.
And then we have a sewer main project on the south end of town that needs almost immediate attention. And we have on-hand funds. You allocated $500,000 for water and sewer out of the 2019 temp note. So taking the PER from the sewer and then releasing the RFP as close to the front of the line as we can get for fall projects, I guess, would be the goal. So the timing was also a major factor in what we're requesting. I don't know if I missed anything, Mr. Mayor. Mr.
So
President.
this is gonna be mainly for projects to fix stuff, this doesn't have anything to do with the meter.
No, it's completely
This is a
separate.
whole.
But the meter will give us data that will help us kind of in subsequent.
And, one of the things we talked about that night is, city staff has a pretty good idea of what needs to be replaced, and that's everything. The problem is that we've been in a stalemate for several years, and I think a lot of it is due to just being overwhelmed with where do we start? We don't know where to start. And it's my advice that we get somebody to take an overall look and give us some advice and say, all right, here's how we're going to piecemeal it up, and this is where we're going to start doing it. And this is it's a very short deadline to try to meet 2022 kayak meetings. So it's going to have to be a fast paced project. So that's also kind of the timing about, we do go out for selection in 30 days. We're going to shorten that time.
Any questions for Brian or for Mr. Scritchfield?
So on this report that we're gonna get, like, how long would we be using these numbers for future projects? Possibly.
Well, so the last GIS, I believe Kirk and Michael did in 2001. So we've been working, so we've got about 20 years on the last time we did GIS. And as far as the water and sewer goes, I mean, we can kind of go until we have everything fixed that they identified, but we all know that as soon as we focus on Blake Street, Kansas is going to spring a big leak. So it's kind of hard to give you an answer on how long we'll be able to use it. I don't know the last time that the city did a report like this.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody in this room actually knows this answer, but
how often should a city, this is kind of from my own knowledge or anything else's, but how often should a city get these reports? Just out of curiosity.
I think that would depend on the city. I mean, to give you an example, in my last city, they redid the entire distribution and transmission system, so they shouldn't need it for a long time. We, on the other hand, I mean, Wayne may have a better answer for you.
Yeah, and Aaron, kind of what we talked about was, since we can't do it all at once, and we can't do it in 2 projects, we're not gonna do 4 projects. But for them to give us some ideas about, okay, here's project 1, project 2, project 3. And then, we'll just have to look at those numbers and update them as we go. I mean, as long as the project's identified all the elements, then we can pretty much apply it, inflation factor to those numbers. And, within a reasonable time frame, the numbers will be good, about 10 years. I think we update the inflation rate. And adjustments in costs of materials. I think it'll be good for several projects.
I might add to that if you don't mind.
Sure.
So if your town is growing and you're constantly, increasing your population by 5–10%, something like that, then yeah, you need to do these more often, make sure you stay ahead of supply and disposal. If you're, for the most part, a lot of towns in Kansas are stagnant. They're just replacing instead of enlarging, that's how I should say. And in that case, exactly what Lynn said, just updating the numbers. But every year you go for a fund, you will need to update it and it might just be updating the past year's water usage or getting the past year's financial and putting that into the report, because as much as this report is for you guys, it's more for the people and the people, because they're going to be the ones that are looking at your system and comparing it to everybody else in Kansas and trying to dig it. So this report is trying to tell your story to people. Your staff knows that they need to replace the line. You don't need to tell you that. You do need to have a report to submit to the fund.
Every time we apply for funding, they're gonna require something updated.
And a lot of times, I mean, if it's just going from, maybe if you don't get funding this year, for whatever reason, and you want to reapply next year, and it's just updating some numbers, I'm not gonna charge to do that. I mean, it's just-
Yeah, so the initial cost is 34 grand, but if we had to, it's not gonna be that much at the time.
No,
Cause it ain't been done in 20 years, right?
Well, that was the GIS.
Yeah. Okay, what's the GIS? Does anybody know that?
It's a geographical information system. It's the mapping software that the guys use that say, okay, you got a manhole at this intersection that should be roughly this far from the center of the intersection. There's this much length of pipe out there.
It's mapping.
Yeah, it's very flexible. They can run reports and give them, how many feet of 8-inch line is out there, the age of, and you can put whatever information to the system. Cool. Kind of what gets very overwhelming for the guys if they're trying to edit that.
Updated.
Yeah, where what we're looking at going to is a pretty basic, well, what the guys will have access to is pretty basic online, pull up on your tablet when they're out in the field, where they can't do that now.
Yeah.
They have print maps of the field. There's been some issues with the guys, print the maps if they want to go to the field. And that would just make it a lot easier.
So you're gonna set that up, that'll be what you're doing?
yeah, I'm gonna set that up, so you guys will have to pay at least a $500 user fee to buy the license every year. Now, if you want to get more licenses, you can do that, but that part is not included. And then we're gonna set all the maps up and then push them into your user account, so you guys, it'll be your data, your user accounts, and then your guys can update them, can add features. I mean, you have a water line leak, they can take a picture of it, put it on the GIS, and it's just possibility driven. GIS all your street sign. But to be clear, we're not collecting.
Yeah, you just set it up.
And you can always collect more data, like if you wanted to, have your city staff do it, meaning somebody else to do it, anybody could collect data and push it into that system after it's set.
Any other questions for anyone?
Is the mapping software? What's it called? Or is that?
It's
is it
called,
just
it's
GIS?
called, ArcGIS,
ARC,
ARC.
like ARC map, is that? See, we use this deal called this. And it's like that, what he's talking about. We're doing that right now. It's pretty cool. I heard that ARC map.
And that's what we have now.
Oh, that's okay.
Any questions?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
It's kind of unrelated, actually, to the topic at hand. I was curious, since the study does not include water supply. One time the city was adamantly pursuing additional wells around town because, as I recall, at least when we have extreme drought and the river is very dry, the city has junior rights. And so the amount of water that can be pumped is restricted. I'm curious, is that project is kind of gone for the pursuit of supply?
I've not heard anything more about it than, we've not discussed it. I know.
No, around the time that I got here in June of 20, we kind of abandoned the exploration of the new wells. I think the assessment was that we had sufficient supply even with the
Yeah, I think there's a combination of things. One, we were getting so far east in the search for those wells. Property that we found the wells that we thought might be developable, we don't have access to. And the fact that when we redid our well field, the big upgrade, rehab, our passing on those wells is back up to design levels. I guess the urgency wasn't made for the time being until the river goes down again and we're picking up both. But I think for the most part, we don't have access to wells at this point. We've exhausted the use of our consultant, I think, on that project. So I think at this point, we're not actively pursuing that.
I think I was just curious, I'm still in the works.
Other questions, comments, concerns? Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
To be clear and transparent, we go this route, it does violate our return.
Yes. Which is, like I put in the memo, it does require exception to policy. But I'd much rather say that than you come back in a month and say, Rusty, why don't you write 4 checks to BG Consultants for $9,000? Because that's pretty shady.
Well, and you were there, and maybe they seem all right, right? I'll make a motion to allow the city administrator to sign the agreement with BG Consultants.
We have a motion, Mr. Renard, to approve the BG Consultant agreement. Is there a second? I'll second. All right, Mr. Johnson has seconded the engineering report and GIS update agreement. The item report number is AIR-22-025. Hearing none, is there any further discussion before we move on? All the questions have been answered? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion carries. The approval has been granted for the engineering report and GIS update agreement AIR-22-025. We're moving on to the department head summary. Recreation.
Just give you an update on the recreation center. Pretty much all the rooms are done. The studio room got the floor put in, just waiting on some trim, finish that up. Gym floor, we're still waiting. We gotta hang the divider curtain and 9-gauge net. Curtain came in today. 9-gauge net should come in sometime here this week. So, the floor probably won't get done down till after the home show. There's a cornhole tournament this Saturday. And then, the home show's like 2 weeks away, and Mr. Weber just kind of doesn't want to be rushed by putting that down. Something would happen, and, you know, it's not complete, and then we have the home show. So we'll have 3 weeks between the home show, and then there will be an auction out there, so that's probably the timetable. We'll do that, and so, yeah, getting pretty close.
Good. How's the key fob? How's the fob working out pretty well?
Oh, fine, I got there's a couple kids, they did some things this weekend that I've addressed, and so, and luckily we have cameras out there that, you know, we caught them, so they've been talked to, so, yeah.
It was nothing treacherous unless you're Brit.
Okay,
They moved her speaker and stepped on her mats, but
okay.
they didn't tear anything up. They just, yeah. Fortunately, they were very good kids that were out there who got curious. It wasn't.
I think Brady can hire someone to teach gymnastics for him.
Not a shot. Okay. Very good. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Golf course isn't present. Street, did you have any other comments?
The only thing I got is, we're gonna have our yearly dump, free dump on, April 18th to April 23rd this year. So 1 to 7 up during the week and 8 to 1 on Saturday.
That's replace dumpsters out.
They'll be at the city shop and they can bring up the approved items to their,
Okay. Good deal. Thank you. Anything else?
no, that's it.
Okay. Thank you. Water and sewer, not represented. Fire, not here. Police, chief's not here.
He was sick today.
You sick? All right. City attorney, Ms. Miller, and you have any? Any questions for her?
Are you still looking into the pedophiles? What they're
Yeah,
doing?
The guy at the League of Kansas Municipalities, I don't think he really understood the question very well, and I scheduled a phone call with him to try to follow up on it that way.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of turnover at the league, and we're left with one guy that's been there for more than a month or so. But he's really good, but he's hard to get into. But I really just wanted to know if anybody else has done it or what that's looked like. I think that's a good starting place for us. So that's what I'm working on.
All right.
Pedophile as far as what time block, sorry.
The what?
That was the proximity to the school for a convicted sex offender.
Grade school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because there's no, there's no longer a state or federal guideline or a law, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah, that was a while back.
okay.
Did we not do anything on the jail?
On
Or the
reserve.
old hospital, sorry.
Not that I'm aware of, I don't, the ownership has not officially changed as of yet. And the roles of the register of deeds are on strict notice to notify you right away if that happens. But I don't think I mean, I know we marked everything. I know Chief's not here. I don't think we've had any more instances of anyone getting in there. I think we took off the lock or changed the locks. I mean, I think we would know at this point. Do you agree if somebody was in there?
Well,
To a degree, if they use the door.
yeah, we would know if they use the door because it's a different lock, but we got a report 2 weeks ago about kids in there at night and people asking what they should do. And the answer is you should call the sheriff's office and they'll dispatch an officer to run the kids out. But until the thing's gone, we're going to have, I mean, it doesn't take much effort to shimmy up that wall and go in through the main floor.
But as far as the supposed new owner, I haven't heard any new developments. So,
All right, city clerk.
We don't have anything other than the middle of March, Callie and I will go to Spring Clerks Conference in Manhattan, so we'll be gone the 16th through the 18th for some training.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
We don't get out much. They pretty much have a schedule the entire
Oh,
day, so.
great.
It's not a whole lot of free time, but that's okay.
Hey, we are, my turn?
Your
Okay,
turn.
all
Yes.
right. We are, Brittany's gonna do a business card order, so anyone who wants city council business cards, please give Brittany the email address you want on there and your phone number and how you want your name and so if you'll get that to her. NCRI, the firm we contracted with to help us with the hospital. I had told them that they could go back to work. They wanted to triple check, so I had a meeting with them on Friday. And I'm really appreciative because they were like, are you sure? Because we don't want to spend money that we don't need to spend. And I said, no, we've committed to spending this money, so please go back to work. So the asbestos study is done. Now they're moving into the engineer report phase. The next meeting, Mr. Brown will present the recommendation for the water rate, or he'll present the water rate models and the recommendation for rate changes. That report is 123 pages, so I'm going to email it to you. I don't expect you to read 123 pages, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm probably not going to read all 123 pages because he and I have talked through it, and the mayor and Wayne were on the phone with one of those calls as well, and Angela. So we have a pretty good grasp of it was 156. I don't know what he took out yet, but it's down to 123. But we will present that in the most simple form that we can. Because I think I told you before, the second run that he did with the 2 million and 2 million didn't take into account a proper calculation of our debt, which significant amounts come off in the next 3 years. So that would lower the overall projected increase on the average user. We're still targeting a decrease for the low end user. So if you're at the minimum, so a lot of the seniors could see a small decrease. And then a number of the 2 and 3 inch meters could also see a decrease. So be a service to some of the businesses in town. I told him he's going to have about 10 minutes to explain all that to you, because after that, those numbers get really, really confusing. So we'll see how talented he is at getting that done. And we have a few more rates we have to work out for the rec center, the 4-H fair being one, but we're kicking around a recommended number. Haven't gotten with the 4-H. What is he, chairman? Fair Association, yeah. But you will probably also get that at the next meeting as well. And other than that, Mr. Mayor, that is all that I have.
Thank you. City council, Ms. Coates.
So somebody asked me about some things we've already addressed, the old hospital, the detention basin, and then the building that's over here by hijinks, like an old granary or something like that. That's privately owned, right? Like,
Correct.
and right now, we don't think that there's
So there is,
anything.
so one of the developers from Manhattan that looked at the old hospital and deemed it too cost prohibitive is now taking a look at the old mill. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not optimistic on that either, but he's gonna, he did a pretty thorough review on the hospital, so I trust you to do a pretty thorough review on the mill as well. But no timeline attached to that.
I hope it never got brought up.
No.
And I'm gonna guess like no forward momentum yet on the detention basin.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but Josh completed the revised plans.
It should be sending it out.
Yeah.
Today if you haven't already.
Okay.
They take a week to see when they get it done. It's working on. They will get the contractor and get it. Start building. In the meantime, we're working on a drainage installation system to drain out the water that won't go away. This contractor claims you can't get in there and smooth out the dirt to drain.
Very good. Mr. Johnson? Nothing. Okay, very good. Mr. Chrisfield? Nope. Mr. Renard?
Nope.
Ms. Hanson?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. The mayor, I just want to thank the people. There were a lot of activities last week. Youth Entrepreneur Challenge. We had the Economic Development
Annual
Annual
dinner.
Dinner. There's about 4 different events and I saw a lot of you there. There was a legislative coffee on Saturday. Just thank you for attending and participating, and you know, John, you too, and Rusty and Jessica, and the different things that you did. So really appreciate that. I think that's says a lot about our community. So thank you. No executive session needed tonight. So would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, Ms. Coates has made a motion to adjourn. Ms. Hanson has seconded that motion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Where's it go?
It is. 6:10.
You know what's